Hey there, this is Daryl. Before we get going with the USA Jamaica preview, I want to talk to you very briefly about the Total Soccer Show Reddit community. So the Total Soccer Show Reddit was set up independently by some Total Soccer Show listeners, and it's been slowly but surely growing. I think it has like 800 or 900 members right now, all Total Soccer Show listeners. We would love it to get even more active and be like, a thriving hub of discussion. So I want to encourage anyone who is interested to go and get involved with the Total Soccer Show Reddit community, make some posts, get involved in some conversations. And what we'll do here is, both on Twitter and here on the show, we'll highlight some of the most engaging conversations and make sure people are aware of them, and we'll direct more people that way. If you want to go take a look, it is totalsoccershow.reddit.com. The link will be in the show notes. I got involved recently, put up a recent post just asking what other podcasts do people listen to. Got loads of really interesting answers. Take a look at that if you want to see a list of all the other good soccer pods that TSS listeners are listening to. Once again, the URL is totalsoccershow.reddit.com. The link will be in the show notes for you to click. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my preamble. Now here's the USA Jamaica preview that was promised in the episode title. Hello and welcome to the Total Soccer Show. My name is Daryl Grove and I'm joined by a man who's got Gold Cup semi-final fever. His name is Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hello. I don't know what the symptoms are. I turn gold and I get slightly depressed about America's intentions.
Those are the exact symptoms.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and you have all of them.
Okay, that checks out.
And also you're busy Wednesday night.
Yes,
watching
this is
the
true.
game. So yeah, it is Wednesday night, 9:30 Eastern, we're pretty sure, from Nashville at Nissan Stadium, USA versus Jamaica in the Gold Cup semi-final. Big picture, for me, let's see if you agree, this is the first good team we're going to face. Like, Curacao were better than expected. Panama were a B team. Trinidad were bad. And Guyana were not good.
Trinidad.
It was not good, right?
Bravo.
They're out.
Bravo.
Jamaica, I think, are a pretty fine team.
I mean, yes, in terms of what they've already done in the competition, but then factoring in the beating that they gave the United States earlier in June.
Yep, both literal and scoreline.
Yes, I would say they're definitely the strongest team the U.S. has faced so far.
So is it fair to say then that this... I feel like I'm doing a prosecutor thing. Is it fair to say, Senator, that this is...
Well, you're not rubbing your suspenders, but otherwise, yes.
I'll do it on my T-shirt.
I'm no big city lawyer.
I'm no big city football pundit. I'm not Matt Doyle. Is it fair to say that this semi-final against Jamaica is the biggest test of the Greg Berhalter US men's national team so far?
Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
right?
I mean,
I'm pretty confident in that.
It's the best team we've faced in an official competition. Yes, so everything else has either been friendlies or, as we've already established, teams that aren't as good as Jamaica and not in as competitive of environments. So yes, I think this is the biggest game so far, especially when you look at sort of the reaction to Berhalter's U.S. national team of late, especially with the result against Curacao factored in there.
The one we won 1-0?
Yes, exactly. I think this is one, though, that people will be looking to as, does the system hold up at all against Jamaica? Does it crumble? Does
it hold up against a decent team?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing is there's the Berhalter argument of we can lose the friendlies as long as we learn stuff from them, right? So if we lost that friendly to Jamaica, we did not look good. We got pushed around. It was a lot of second-string players, but we're supposed to be learning things. Now's the real test, right? Berhalter's had a whole, 2/3 of a tournament to, get the team all on the same page. The system should be firing. This is the test.
It is. So, with that in mind, maybe we should talk about the players that we will be tested against. Yeah,
let's talk about Jamaica. So I had a good long look at Jamaica versus Panama, and I think I know a few things about Jamaica.
What you got?
All right, so I'm going to share them with you and with listeners. How about that?
All right.
So Jamaica plays either a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, but the really, really similar thing is that when Jamaica have the ball at the back, one of the central midfielders, and it's been Michael Hector, drops back between the two centre-backs. The centre-backs spread wide and the fullbacks go high.
Right.
And that's important because the fullbacks are Alves Powell. I made him Brazilian.
Yeah, you did.
Alves Powell. It's not Danny Alves. If it was Alves, we'd be in trouble, right?
Yeah.
Alves Powell, who most MLS fans will be familiar with, right? Right back for Portland, loves to get forward. And Kamar Lawrence, left back for New York Red Bulls, who I just think of as sharp. Quick thinking, quick on the ball, quick to cover ground.
I think the fastest player on the Red Bulls as well.
Is that right? Yeah, mate. So really dangerous player. Yep. And then what they do is then next to them you've got Leon Bailey, who plays for Bayer Leverkusen, left winger, and Orgil on the right. They're the wingers, and they'll either gather around the fullbacks or come inside, and then Jamaica will send balls out wide because that's where their danger men are, either on the floor or in the air. They will get the ball out wide and attack you from there. That's what Jamaica likes to do.
Right. So then the question becomes, how does the United States deal with that? But before we get into how the United States deals with that, we should probably talk about some other aspects of Jamaica's game.
Yeah.
Because I would say, like as an example, going all the way back between the posts, it's easy to forget that they have Andre Blake back there. Who is quite good and has proven himself in Major League Soccer to be quite good, and against the United States, especially, has proven himself to be quite good. So, like, I think that it's one of those spots where, like, in the past, you look at a Jamaica team and you think, like, oh, they've got this guy and this guy, but that's about it. And it's just, I guess I use that as an example of how kind of consistently good this team is across all spots.
Yep. I think that's a good example. I also want to talk about their midfield.
Sure.
So if you remember when we played them in the friendly, we talked about how Jamaica kind of dominated the game, was they dominated our attacking midfielders, right? It was Lambert and Watson were the two defensive midfielders, and they just knocked over Mihailovic, knocked over Roldan anytime they took more than one touch. Hector's 6'4", by the way.
Yikes.
And Hector, worth noting just in terms of quality, like you mentioned, he's on the books at Chelsea. Chelsea bought him about 3 or 4 years ago. They've since loaned him out to Eintracht Frankfurt, Hull City, Sheffield Wednesday. But this means he's a pretty high-quality player to still be on the Chelsea books.
That's it. Is that going down? Where are we on Hull City versus Sheffield in terms of...
I think similar.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Similar. I mean, but championship, right? And he's played in the Bundesliga, and he is officially... a Chelsea player. I mean, that makes him as good as Matt Miazga, say, if we're just talking about who you play for and where you get loaned to.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah? All right. Okay. But I think that's the real challenge here defensively. Like when the US has the... We talked about what Jamaica do attacking, right? But when the US has the ball, the challenge is going to be, do we let those two defensive midfielders dominate us by... Because some of them, like Michael Hector's also a centre-back. He's like a really defensive player. That's how they go about it. Do we let him dominate Christian Pulisic, and do we let, say, Javon Watson dominate Weston McKinney, like we let happen to Mihailovic and Roldan?
Well, not to be difficult, I don't know what that means, though. Like, what do you mean, do we let them dominate them?
Well, for example, like I would say Mihailovic let it happen by taking too many touches and just letting them come and tackle him, right? I would say not letting them do it is Christian Pulisic's got to be, when he receives the ball, if his back's to goal and, say, Michael Hector's coming up behind him or is pressed up against him, he's got to be quick, right? He's got to lay that ball off, do a quick 1-2, and find a way around Michael Hector.
So you want to see quick passing. It's not like you want to see like midfielders come in and smash those midfielders. You want to see basically the United States not let the physicality impact their players.
And I think the way you do that is to not slow it down and get into physical battles. You do it with speed of play so that you can sort of get away from them quickly and just get the other side, right?
So run away, but in like a tactical way.
Run away, but move the ball around as you do it.
All right, cool.
Yeah. But that will be the key thing, right? Because they'll probably man-mark Pulisic and McKinney and follow them around. And that's a huge part of the US's game plan, is either you can use that to drag them out of position, or you can use that to be always marked and be taken out of the game.
I mean, this is, to the first part about taking them out of position, that is like what Greg Berhalter has theoretically been building towards, what this team has been building towards, that if you have two kind of holding midfielders who are going to be man-marking your two like 8/10s, then if your two 8/10s move a lot and pull those players out, who automatically fills those, or is there just a space that then somebody drops into or somebody else maybe runs into, but it's not necessarily a pre-planned thing?
So we'll see if the positional play works, and maybe Pulisic can drag his midfielder out and like Areola can get him behind, or whoever is playing up front can get him behind, or we need all those kinds of things to happen.
We do.
In terms of Jamaica, there is one big thing in our favour here. Their centre-back, Damien Lowe, son of Richmond Kickers legend and Andy Lowe.
Legend is the right word.
15 goals in 16 games.
That'll do it.
Damien Lowe, who plays in the USL Champion... No, he's gone abroad to Norway. He plays for Start. He's like a really big physical defender who wins a lot of stuff. He's suspended.
He is. 2
yellows. That's kind of big for them because he's always their first-choice centre-back. So Jamaica have a huge question. Do they move Michael Hector out of central midfield, where he is so sort of dominant, and make him the low replacement at centre-back and then have a slightly weaker defensive midfield? Or do they just draft in their second or third choice centre-back?
Yeah, and I think U.S. fans should be optimistic if we see Hector dropped in. I think that would be a mistake from Jamaica, in my opinion.
Because you think he's more dangerous in midfield?
Yeah, because I think he's already proven that he can be a problem to the United States and has been a consistent performer in midfield for Jamaica in this tournament.
And a pretty smooth passer as well, not like a clumsy defender playing midfield passer. He looks, despite being 6'4", he looks perfectly comfortable in midfield.
Yes.
Kind of like the Jamaican Matic, maybe.
All right.
Yeah.
I like that. So then it comes down to who else might be in there. We think maybe Lambert, who was one of the physical midfielders against the United States in the friendly.
Who also is a centre-back / central midfielder. So my guess is either Lambert plays centre-back or Lambert replaces Hector in midfield and Hector plays centre-back. But either way, they don't get to have their first choice defence in midfield.
They don't. They will have Sean Francis, who started, I believe, every game of the Gold Cup so far. And he's the one in USL Championship with, I believe, Louisville City.
Good research.
Thanks,
and then the other midfielder is very likely to be, in my opinion, Javon Watson, who MLS fans will be familiar with. I think he's played for Dallas, he's played for Houston. He is also now in the championship with Oklahoma City Energy.
There we go.
Yeah.
What about up top?
He'll be excited just to see a bigger city.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you mentioned...
I have friends from Oklahoma City, by the way, so I speak from knowledge.
You can make all the jokes you want, buddy. We mentioned Bailey and Orgil briefly. What about Shamar Nicholson? You've watched more of Jamaica than I have. What do you make of him? What should the United States expect there?
He looks like a happy runner.
Okay.
Right? He will charge all over the place and maybe cause you problems defensively.
Happy runner.
He also, what I see, because Jamaica like to play wide, what Nicholson will do is he'll show for the ball. And if the ball comes into his feet, he's very good, from what I saw, only one game. He's very good at then laying the ball wide, say to Orgil or to Bailey, and then charging into the box, ready for the next phase, which is maybe a cross. I mean, that's classic centre-forward play, right? Receive the ball, play it wide, get in the box. That's like a basic plan for a centre-forward when you trust your wingers.
Yes. Yeah. All right, so then he won't necessarily be running into the spaces out wide to try to create overloads. Would you expect him to stay more central?
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I can't speak to that. I think that is one possible opportunity. But then, honestly, who fills this space in the box?
Right.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Maybe one of their many 6'4" defenders.
Maybe. I also think it's worth spotlighting Leon Bailey. Again, Bayer Leverkusen. A dangerous, but he's not just a Bundesliga player who's on the bench. He is one of Leverkusen's danger men.
He is on the books at Bayer Leverkusen, but he's not just on the books at Bayer Leverkusen.
Yeah, he's on the field at Bayer Leverkusen and doing damage. So left-footed winger, very capable of going at you, taking you on. I think this is the biggest challenge Nick Lima is going to face.
Ooh, that makes sense.
Right? So this is going to be Nick Lima, we think, has stood up really well defensively and has made good decisions about when to get forward and when to come back. Suddenly now he has Kamar Lawrence and Leon Bailey to deal with. This is Nick Lima going up against Lucy Bronze and Nikita Paris.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, because that left side of Jamaica is far and away the best left side we faced against any team in the Gold Cup so far.
Yeah,
Bailey and Lawrence. It's a lot of speed, obviously, as we've already talked about. But then, the crossing ability of Lawrence, the shooting ability of Lawrence, and the overall ability of Leon Bailey. I'm a little bit nervous.
I'm also impressed with Orgil. I'd never heard of him before. He's the number 6 who plays right wing. He works really hard defensively, so he will... And I think that's important because we're probably going to have Pulisic and Areola, and we often focus on trying to get the ball to Pulisic, right? So Orgil, I think, will help out Powell defensively, and I think he'll actually make it quite hard for us to exploit any space because he's so willing to get back and do the hard work to defend. And then he's dangerous when he goes forward as well. Berhalter specifically mentioned him when he said, we know they have quality players like Bailey and Orgil. So they're really aware. The US is really aware of Orgil.
All right. Yeah. All right. So
whose name I might be mispronouncing.
Well, I mean, Orgill. Yeah, why not?
Okay.
I think you've about got it. Okay. And if you didn't, then there's no way you could have not known that was coming. So anything else you wanted to talk about with Jamaica?
The one sort of maybe wild card is Darren Mattocks.
Yeah.
People will be familiar with Darren Mattocks. Speaking of pace, he's that player that has that weird thing where he slows down and then it's a sudden burst and away he goes. I could see some players getting caught out by that, like Michael Bradley, for example, might get caught out by that. Some of our defenders might get caught out by that. He didn't start in the quarterfinal against Panama, came off the bench immediately, and I mean immediately, won a penalty, like big direct ball into the area, and he got fouled just inside the area. Then he won the argument with Nicholson about who takes the penalty, and then he dispatched the penalty with confidence. So there's a chance that 15-minute game-winning cameo might have earned Mattocks a start, maybe either alongside Nicholson or maybe just underneath him.
I'm going to guess that it's been his role in this tournament to get 15 to 20 minutes. Actually, that has been his role. I'm not guessing that.
Yeah.
But that has been his consistent role, and I think therefore you bring him in maybe if you're Jamaica if it's like 0-0 or maybe if you're trailing or maybe if you're trying to see how to win, either way, I think you bring him in the final few minutes to go at a U.S. back line and kind of keep them guessing, keep them thinking.
Okay, one other name to mention
Basically,
is...
I think I just said that he's definitely coming in no matter what.
One other name to mention, I don't know a lot about him. Junior Flemings plays for Phoenix Rising. He is in the 4-2-3-1. He is often the attacking midfielder. Okay. Like he's the one playing underneath Nicholson. That's a possibility.
That was one of my question mark spots. Yeah.
Or they could go 4-3-3 and have an extra defensive midfielder and do it that way. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they go 4-3-3 against the United States and not have a sort of, not luxury, but an attacking player in their midfield.
Yeah, because that way they can find attacks elsewhere, but they can solidify the midfield and maybe with an extra body knock some people around again.
And still get those fullbacks forward because that's what they're going to do.
All right.
All right, so before we talk about how the US either responds to some of these threats or exploits some of these opportunities, because every crisis is also an opportunity.
This is true.
Today's show is sponsored by Dollar Shave Club. Can't stress enough the quality of the Dollar Shave Club products. They've spent years developing, crafting, refining everything, and we have been using those products in our separate showers, haven't we, Taylor?
We have. We abandoned the joint shower.
Yeah.
You didn't want to use that anymore. You felt like it was weird that we were both showering at the same time. Which I should add, I say that in jest. We have had opportunity to do that. When on tour, we have never done that. I would like a ghost moment where like I shave you from behind, but no, I guess maybe that's not going to happen.
It's not efficient what we're doing in these separate showers.
It's not. And it's slightly not efficient to use all of the products, like to do like the full shaving process because they have so many options. But I went for it, Daryl. I went for it the other day, and I did like the prep scrub. Yep. I did like the post shave dew. I use their
What's the post shave dew?
It's just
is it collected from grass?
Yeah, it is, and then it has the
Dollar
natural.
Shave Club go out every morning and collect the dew and bottle it for you.
It's made by elves, yes, and then they find it, tiny little elves and gnomes in the yard, and then they make it that way. No, they do not. Instead, they use I don't know what they use, but I know that it was like moisturizing and lovely, and I tend to get like razor burn along my neck, and it was. Certainly far, like, it was not there because I don't think I'm that good of a shaver, but it was far less.
I thought about who's good at shaving and who isn't.
I got, like, hammer hands, man. I think I, like, shaved too hard. Yes. So, but, like, there was far less irritation than is usual because their post-shave products were so useful.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Well, Mr. Hammerhands, as amazing as the shave does...
I think that's about tattoos, but I'm using it for shaving.
So as amazing as all the shaving stuff is, Dollar Shave Club, despite the name, is way more than just razors. They have you covered head to toe. They have everything you need to shower,
and also,
shave...
and I was going to say, and elf/gnome products, I think, as well.
Those elves are well paid.
That's true.
It's above minimum wage. They have everything you need to shower, shave, style your hair, brush your teeth, and yes... even wipe your butt.
What?
They have the one wipe Charlies.
They do. Yeah. They do. Which are sometimes nice and useful. And I'll say that, and I'll leave it at that.
Soothing.
Yes.
Is the word I use. The other great thing about Dollar Shave Club is they can keep you automatically stocked up on the products you use. You get what you want whenever you need it, whether that's once a month or a few times a year. You choose.
There we are. And right now, you can put the quality of Dollar Shave Club's products to the test. Their ultimate starter sets have basically everything you need for an amazing shower, close shave, or clean teeth. The best part is...
It's pronounced teeth.
Teefs? All right, Teefers. The best part is you can try each one for just $5 right now and get all those treasures out of your Teefers.
After that, the Restock Box ships regular-sized products at regular prices. Get your starter set, your ultimate starter set.
Do it.
For just $5 at dollarshaveclub.com/TSS. That's dollarshaveclub.com/TSS, which is pronounced...
Well done. Thank you very much to Dollar Shave Club for sponsoring today's episode. We've talked about Jamaica, what Jamaica are going to do. Let's talk about the United States and what we would like the United States to do against Jamaica.
All right, let's start with lineup.
Sure.
We can assume that barring Zardes versus Altidore, it's going to be the same lineup. Is that right?
I would assume so.
We're going to have Longo and Zimmerman because they seem like the first choice centre-back pairing. We're going to have Lima and Tim Ream. We're going to have Stefan in goal. We're going to have Bradley as the 6. We're going to have McKinney and Pulisic as the attacking mids. Areola to the left. Boyd to the right, and then
Zardes or Jesse Altidore.
Yes.
I think I said this in our Curacao review show, and I'm going to stick with it. I am inclined to think it will be Gyasi Zardes starting against Jamaica.
Why so?
Because I think, number one, it still didn't look to me like Jose Altidore was 100% ready to go. If he were, I think he would have against Curacao. So a couple days of rest, I don't know if that puts him into, like, maybe if he was only at 90% and Berhalter didn't want to risk it and now he's 100%. Yeah. But if he was 80% and now he's 90%, then he's still not 100%.
Did you see the Club and Country video / discussion? You know, the MLS guests do the club and country thing. It was Charlie Davies, Bobby Warshaw, Matt Doyle, and Andrew Wiebe. So they highlighted the Giassizade's goal from the Nick Lima header. Do you remember that when it's chipped across?
The diving header.
Lima heads it down, and Zardes makes this nice run.
I remember Doyle frantically trying to find the minute that happened. Yes.
Yeah. Well, so against when Altidore played against Panama, there was a really similar sequence, but it was Reggie Cannon because we played the second 11. Can't remember who. It might be Roldan chips it out. Reggie Cannon heads it down, and essentially Altidore is late making that run, and that's why he doesn't get there. Yep. It just the header goes into defenders, and I think they use that as an example of not that Altidore doesn't know what he's doing. Charlie Davies actually was there, and he obviously has been Josie's strike partner in the glory days of 2009, and he said that looks to me because he thinks Josie recognises that and makes that run usually. That looks to me like he's not match sharp.
Yep.
And that's why he didn't quite make that run. So I think there's an argument that Altidore, at least in that Panama game, which wasn't that long ago, is not match sharp.
I would agree. And that is still troubling, though, because if you go back to that Curacao review show, I talked a little bit about how I didn't love Giassizade's first touch, which is not breaking new ground. But this was the first time that I felt like I saw players not pass him the ball because there was a threat of a turnover or conceding possession or a counterattack.
Or you don't get a great ball back.
Or you don't get a great ball back. But I guess my concern then would be that against Jamaica, who we've already established can be physical and are very fast, so that if you're Giassizade's, it's going to be incumbent upon you to have that first touch, to have that good control.
Yep.
If you don't, then Jamaica are more than capable of not just winning that ball off of you or knocking you off the ball, but then, as we've talked about, have the technical ability to then combine through the middle, play the counterattack out wide, and there are lots of problems.
They'll counter very quickly. Yeah. If there's any loose touch that doesn't go back somewhere, they counter very, very quickly. I've come to think of, actually the Scuffed podcast kind of convinced me of this, their most recent episode. Giassizade's does make all the right runs, but then there's the heavy touch at the end of it, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like he's a great example of what Berhalter wants a striker to do in terms of movement in the box and outside of the box. But then the layoffs are never as good as, say, Josie Altidore's would be, or another striker who might play for Werder Bremen's might one day be.
So I guess our hope is that we have... I see what you did there. Our hope is then that maybe Josie Altidore is 100% fit. I knew that's what I assumed. He switches allegiances. Yeah. So would you be hoping then that it's Josie Altidore?
I'm hoping it's Josie Altidore if Josie Altidore's fit, right? So my one guess might be that Altidore's not match sharp, and Berhalter also thought if I play him against Curacao on Sunday night, and then a few days later we have this big semi-final on Wednesday night, that might be too much of a workload for a not quite fit player to handle. So it seemed like maybe... I think the plan was maybe to give him 30 minutes against Curacao, but then Berhalter said that the tactical setup of the game was unexpectedly all about transition in the second half, and it wasn't a good fit for Altidore, so he ended up playing 0 minutes. Right? So I would have expected him to get 20, 30 minutes against Curacao and then start against Jamaica as they sort of build him towards full fitness. I'll say this as well. If he doesn't start against Jamaica, he shouldn't have been on the roster. Because if you get to the semi-final and he's still not match fit, match sharp, that just seems like it wasn't what you might as well have brought someone else, right? Unless he then starts the final and scores a hat-trick. Then I'll have to eat those words, right?
Well, we did have a few people tweet us to say, you all are very much assuming that Josie Altidore is the number one striker for the U.S., and maybe under Greg Berhalter he isn't until he is, and he has to prove it. I mean, that could be. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, but I'm with you that I think Josie Altidore probably would have been starting this tournament from day one if he were 100% healthy.
If everybody's healthy, Josie Altidore is the starting American striker. Again, Berhalter's called him the number one American striker, right? So this is all about...
That seems like a pretty strong statement in favor of him being the number one striker.
Right, so this is all about Altidore's fitness. And honestly, we can sit here and say we think he'll start, or I can sit here and say I think he'll start. I do if he's fit. We don't know how fit he is, right? We don't know how sharp he is. It's going to be a decision that Berhalter makes based on fitness. Hey, this is Darryl cutting in with a quick update because since we recorded the show, there's been the Greg Berhalter pre-match press conference. Josie Altidore's fitness was addressed at the press conference. Here's what he said. So Jeff Carlisle, his Twitter handle is Jeffrey Carlisle, sort of asked him about Josie's fitness, and Berhalter said, Josie's exactly where we need him to be. Which is a frustrating answer. The follow-up was, is he ready to play tomorrow? And Berhalter answered, yeah, he's been ready to play. So I think you could read into this that he's been 100% fit the whole time and we're just not selecting him. I still think this is what me and Taylor were talking about. Taylor and I, were talking about earlier is like he's technically fit enough to play, but not quite match sharp. And again, we'll find out Wednesday night. Is he match sharp and is he ready to go?
So then if it is Giassizade's, let's go with that as the likely scenario or a possibly likely scenario, then the question becomes, what does the United States do if you know that maybe there is that risk of counterattack? Do we see the United States, if they turn the ball over in Jamaica's third, like defensive third, do we see them really go all in for the press, or do we see them sit all the way back and kind of be a bit more defensive to deal with a counterattack? Because I think we agreed that the half-and-half approach against Curaçao probably not going to work this time around.
Well, I mean, I want to answer your question, but I don't think that's the most important decision. I think the most important decision is what we do when Jamaica just have the ball and are building out of the back.
All
right? Do we go all out and press them and try and win the ball really high, which is a thing we've never, ever done under Greg Berhalter? Do we sit back in the 4-4-2 and let them come at us and we try and dispossess them and hit them on the counter? Like, don't give them room on the wings, for example. Or do we do what we did against Curaçao, which is like this weird, like, we send two guys quite high, but they don't actually challenge for the ball, and and then we leave this massive gap in midfield?
I mean, I think the obvious answer is we do not do that. Because
I'd prefer not, but it worries me that that's what we've been doing. That might be what they think is the best plan, like to theoretically make it hard for them to pass out of the back. They're going to just lift it over us and hit the fullbacks.
I mean, that's the issue, is because Curaçao could still find the man in the middle, Shermaine Martina in that game. Maybe it would be Hector in this game, who knows? But
from the famous Michael Jackson song.
Of course.
The man in the middle.
Let's not talk about him. I thought we canceled him.
Fair enough.
But if they can't find that ball in the middle against that kind of front two of the United States, Curaçao were then able to, as you said, still find those fullbacks with relative ease.
Yeah.
But the problem there was that because the team of the United States was set up to they'll never be able to find the fullbacks, there was nobody near them. And so if you have Kamar Lawrence or Alvis Powell getting that ball and no one near them, that's 30 yards that they can get full speed down the field.
Yep.
And then the United States have to kind of scramble to deal with that. So I would very much hope we don't see that same approach. I think with that in mind, if we're going to let Jamaica have the ball, then I think
they will at some point, right? Honestly, if we hit a shot wide, if Tyler Boyd hits one of his shots wide, Jamaica have a goal kick, Jamaica have the ball. So there's no argument that we just don't let them have the ball.
And again, this is the tough thing that we'll have to find out, because the United States haven't necessarily practiced sitting off when there is a goal kick.
Yeah.
So then you're kind of changing what you've been doing, I would say, because it's a more logical way to deal with very, very pacey counterattacking threats. But then you're asking your players to do something they haven't been doing, versus maybe you go all in on a higher press system and hope that maybe it clicks this time.
Yeah, I think it's too... So I would love to see us go... My heart says let's press them and win the ball high, because I just think that's thrilling soccer and I love it. My head says... we haven't practiced this, we won't be good enough at it to actually shut them down, on a few days' notice, right? So my more conservative approach would be 4-4-2, sit back around the halfway line, maybe just have Pulisic and Zardes/Altidore at the halfway line in our 4-4-2. And then at least you make sure that if they're hitting balls to, say, Lawrence and Bailey on the left side, or Powell and Orgel on the right side, at least we'll have squeezed the space a little bit, and there won't be room for them to play into, right? There won't be room for Lawrence to run in behind, because we'll be back there and we'll have numbers.
All right.
Yeah.
I think
I'd do that.
Everything you said makes sense, and I think normally I would agree. I'm going to 100% disagree
Go
with
for
you
it.
this time, because to me, that is then completely changing what the United States has been doing. And if this whole idea is we're kind of adjusting here and there, we're tinkering here and there, but we're building towards a consistent style of play, to then sit back, you can't then have everybody sitting back behind the ball, or everybody kind of sitting back deeper, but then also play this high-intensity passing and moving style. It doesn't really work that way.
Do you think? I think it's possible to sit back in the 4-4-2. I'm not talking about sitting all cowered on the edge of our own area. I'm saying behind the halfway line. So we don't even go and pressure their centre-backs until they get that high up the field. And then the space is squeezed a little bit. But once you win the ball back, you can still then, assuming that you have control of the ball, then maintain possession. Then we can spread the wingers wide. So it's all about essentially inflating and deflating between that 4-4-2, and then we spread wide when we get the ball, right?
Yes, but it took you a while to even explain that, and it takes it longer for them to play that way. So your idea of then we'll get the ball, then we'll spread wide, then we'll keep possession, then we'll get everybody into the right spots, then we'll get right there, necessarily that means you're doing it slowly. I mean, somebody has to have the ball and slowly possessing, and I think it's really hard for the United States to go from kind of wait everybody get and then play fast. That doesn't seem like a thing that they know how to do necessarily. So I feel if you sit back a little bit more, it's going to be a slower game.
So you're arguing for the full press? Go for it, try win the ball high. I mean, I'd love to watch it. I'm not going to argue with you, because I would enjoy it.
Because I think your style works. I think it's what the United States has done historically, and I think it's how you get a 1-0 win against Jamaica in the Gold Cup, or a 2-0 win maybe.
Yeah.
If they're stepping too high at the very end of the game. but it feels like it's going against what we've seen the United States trying to do. Maybe I'm wrong, but that is my feeling, and I would rather see the United States, I guess, go for it and win, hopefully, but like win by going for it than win by doing what has worked historically. That sounds incredibly strange to say. I'm basically saying this thing that worked in the past that will probably work again, don't do that, do something else that might not work and hasn't worked before.
So, but I guess what we're both arguing for is not the weird in-betweeny thing we saw against
none of that,
Curacao, where we're up high, but we're not pressuring the ball. We're just theoretically in the way, and then even not that good at being in the way.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's not really what I want to see, especially because Jamaica, as we've already established, can score goals.
Yeah.
So maybe don't give them the opportunity to do that.
And so maybe one way is like maybe Areola just marks the fullback, marks Powell and stays with him, and Boyd on the other side just marks Lawrence and sticks with him, and we cut it out that way. Yep. And then if those guys get forward, go with them, right? So it doesn't have to be this 4-2-4 thing where the fullback's behind you. Maybe don't let that happen. Stick with the fullback and just like man mark him so they don't have those outlets.
Right.
That actually, I think that might be the one thing we could agree on, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
The one thing? That's the only thing we can agree on?
In the whole world.
Oh, boy. That's troubling.
Yeah, even the shower debate is still ongoing. How about opportunities? I would argue that if Lawrence and Powell are so determined to get forward, then the space for Areola and Pulisic to exploit down that Powell side, and the space for Boyd and Lima to exploit down the right side behind Kamar Lawrence once he's gone forward.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think that's where, again, the patterns of play, I think that's going to be a huge part of this game because you've got potentially opportunities out wide, especially if Jamaica commit those numbers forward. But then if we one of my questions was how do we handle Jamaica's physicality? And I think your answer was correct. It's move quickly and like stay moving.
Yeah.
And I think if you've got numbers out wide that can then come central and the people who are central can spread wide and then somebody can drop in and somebody can take that space, like suddenly you're avoiding a lot of those tackles, or if you're not, then you're definitely drawing fouls and yellow cards because those fouls are happening to stop attacking plays from occurring.
All right, I feel like we're coming towards the end of this preview, but before we do, I want to ask, like, are there any weird wrinkles that we might see? Any, like, Berhalter curveballs that because we've come to expect this, like, basic, the 3-2-2-3 attacking shape, 4-4-2 defensive shape, weirdly 4-3-3 on paper because it's like this weird in-between way to represent it graphically. With the players we've been expecting to be the first choice, is there any chance he throws us a curveball?
I mean, there's always a chance with Berhalter, but the only thing, I don't even think he'll do this, but the one that we haven't seen a lot of lately is Nick Lima going central and being another central midfielder.
Yeah.
And that would then, I guess, allow, say, Weston McKinney to push on and Weston McKinney to combine with Christian Pulisic and keep players wide or kind of have some rotation there.
Yeah, and before you finish your thought, the reason we haven't done that is Weston McKinney has not gone that far forward.
Yep.
He's been the alongside Michael Bradley midfielder, and then Lima going forward means that's the overload on the right side, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, so again, it's not that much of a change because it's still the same numbers basically in the same spots. It's just different personnel taking those roles.
Yeah.
But maybe that's something we see just as a variation to throw Jamaica off.
If we're out-battled in midfield.
I don't know if I would love that though, because then that means now there's a very open right-hand side for a player like Kamar Lawrence to get down very quickly.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's also a danger when Lima just goes forward and overlaps and goes wide right? There is space for then Kamar Lawrence and Leon Bailey to come the other way. I say we risk it and go for it anyway.
I'm good with that.
One player I'll have my eye on, Weston McKinney.
Yeah.
Because we lost those midfield battles so much, it was without Weston McKinney. And he is, I know he's only young still, right? But he's a guy that I think we need to start looking to be the one that essentially wins midfield battles and wins psychological battles. Do you remember that? I can't remember which game it was, the one where he came over and got in someone's face because that player... Yes, who'd been fouled? Zardes had been fouled, maybe, and McKinney came charging over, got in the guy's face, and you could see he was just up for it afterwards, and it spread throughout the team, and there was a bit more fight in the team. I would like to see that from Weston McKinney in this game, to be not the captain, not the leader, but the leader of our aggression.
I like that idea. The leader of our aggression.
Yeah.
Can that be his title?
Maybe Aggression King.
That sounds like a Khaleesi-esque title. Leader of our aggression. Midfielder number 8.
Yeah.
Schalke forever.
Yeah.
Weston McKinney.
First of his name. I want to just give a quick correction. On a recent show, I think I said that Pulisic and McKinney were such tight friends because they essentially live in the same city.
Oh, boy.
And I think I said that Borussia Dortmund and Schalke were more or less in the same city. They're not, right? Schalke is separate. I think it's in Gelsenkirchen, and Dortmund is obviously in Dortmund. They're only 25 kilometres apart, so given the size of most cities, you're close enough that you can easily hang out, right?
I don't know if that's close enough. I think we need the shame bell. I think we need to go find...
25k is less than 25 miles, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
25k is...
So, yeah. So they're not in the same city, but they are pretty close.
Hey, Daryl. It's fewer than 25 miles. And I'm out. Wheeling away from the microphone, celebrating victoriously. And I'm back.
We should definitely wrap this up.
Probably.
So once again, the game is Wednesday night, 9:30. Oh, I won't be here for the review show. Because July 4th is a Thursday. Normally I do my chemotherapy on a Thursday. They've moved it up a day. I'm going to be doing it on Wednesday. But Taylor will have
Did you not know that chemotherapy on July 4th counts double?
I did not know that. I should mention
that.
It's
a red, white, and blue chemotherapy, yeah.
So I would overdose? Sounds like a terrible plan. This is why you're not a doctor. Stick to soccer podcasting. You're good at that.
I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I was.
You're a doctor of tactics. The doctor of pressing. So I won't be here on Wednesday, probably Thursday or maybe Friday. But Taylor will have guests who are smarter than me and maybe less annoyingly optimistic. So some of our listeners might enjoy that even more. Ready to wrap it up?
I think so.
All right, Taylor Rockwell, thank you.
No comment on the other things that you've just said.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Right back at you, buddy.
We're off to watch USA versus England in the Women's World Cup semi-final. But by the time you hear this, you'll already know the result, and we should already have a review show out. So please check the Total Soccer Show feed for the US v England review show.